We're live. Welcome to Everything Summer Camp, the maker of C&N Footlockers. My name is Mark. I'm joined today by my friend and coworker Matt.
Hello, how are you?
How's it going today, Matt?
Good, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, yeah, appreciate you joining us today. I think we got a pretty exciting show planned. We're going to be joined by Dr. Chris Thurber, and we'll get to him here shortly. I do want to mention that Matt has created a fantastic virtual scavenger hunt. People have been playing it for a couple weeks now, I think.
Yeah.
We've had some people solve it, and everybody who solves it, or I guess completes the scavenger hunt, is entered to win a $500 gift card. We also have a lot of other great prizes. Matt worked really hard on it, and I know people are working hard to complete the scavenger hunt. You can start the scavenger hunt by visiting the homepage on everythingsummercamp.com, and that'll get you to the instruction page, give you some examples so you kind of get how the game works. You'll be solving different riddles and puzzles that Matt created.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I enjoyed creating it.
Yeah, so go check that out, win some great prizes, and have some fun. Like I said, some people have completed it. I think it ends, I want to say like May 9th or something like that. That'll be on the website, but be sure to check that out. So anyways, as I mentioned, we are joined today by Dr. Chris Thurber. Dr. Chris is a graduate of both Harvard and UCLA. He is a psychologist at Phillips Exeter Academy, and he wrote the book on summer camp along with Dr. John Malinowski. The two of them authored the Summer Camp Handbook, and that's right here. So the Summer Camp Handbook is literally A to Z, everything you need to know to choose the right camp and get ready for camp and go off to camp and get the most out of that experience. You'll find this book available in the product carousel that's playing below the live stream today. So you'll notice that there's quite a few products in there, maybe about 25, 30 products. Some of those we'll be talking about in the live stream today. The Summer Camp Handbook is one of those that's available for $14.99. Be sure to check that out. And yeah, Dr. Chris is going to help us. He's going to answer some questions today that will help people get ready for camp. So Matt, you want to ask the first question?
Sure, why not?
All right.
So why should I bother providing complete information on my camp's pack health form? It's a great question.
Oh, that's such an important question. Why take time to complete the medical and health history in detail? Well, first of all, I understand as a parent that it is a pain to fill in all this information more than once. You have to do it for camp, you have to do it for school, and you probably have to do it for sports teams and a few other things. So it can get to be kind of tiresome. But the camp staff, especially the medical and nursing staff, want to be sure that they're equipped to care for your child and make sure that they can keep your child healthy, whatever allergies or other conditions they may have. You also want to be complete in the medical history and the health history so that the camp can provide the sort of routine care that your child might need, whether they take a medication daily or several times a day, or there's certain kind of treatment that they need for asthma or an allergy. You want to be sure that they can provide that routine care. And finally, although it's very unlikely, if there were some kind of health emergency, you would want to be sure that you had shared everything that is relevant about your child's health history and medical care so that in an emergency, even if the camp couldn't reach you, they were still able to provide the best quality care. And I'll add one final thing. If there's a question that you believe would have been important to ask and for the staff at camp to know about, be sure to add that information. There's always a place to add other information on the form, or simply write an email to the camp director. And rest assured that high quality camps will keep your child's medical history and health history confidential. The things that need to be shared will be shared only with the folks at camp who need to know. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you, Chris. Fantastic information. What'd you think?
I thought it was great. As usual, Chris comes through for us with great answer and great insight.
Yeah, I think, when you're filling out a health form for school, you kind of know that if something goes wrong, you're going to be close by. Yeah. But at camp, you may not be anywhere near camp. So just
miles away.
Right. It's that much more critical to fill out those health forms when you're sending your kid off to summer camp. So, my question for Dr. Thurber is, I know that when kids go off to camp, there can be some anxiety for the kids. There's a lot of unknowns, and so it's something parents are generally dealing with. Is there sometimes the child's anxiety about camp,
Definitely, especially if it's a first-time camper.
Right. But I think people might be surprised to know that a lot of parents have anxiety about their child leaving for camp. So, Chris, I guess, as a parent, if my child is going off to camp, how should I handle my own anxiety about my child leaving for camp?
This is a classic question. What should I do about my own feelings of nervousness about my child heading off to camp? Well, again, a big part of the reason John Malinowski and I wrote the Summer Camp Handbook is we know how normal it is for caregivers to feel nervous about separating from their child. And you're wondering, of course, will the staff at camp take care of my child and understand them the way I do? Well, listen, nobody understands your child and loves them as much as you do. But at a high quality camp, the staff will care for your child as if your child were their own. So yes, it's normal to be worried, but I can assure you that if you've done your homework and you've chosen an excellent camp, then things will be great. But what do you do with those nervous feelings? Well, besides recognizing that it's normal, talk to another adult. Rather than talking with your child and saying, oh, I'm so anxious about your going to camp and I don't know what's going to happen, in which case I think that anxiety becomes a little contagious and now your child is a bit more nervous than they were before, I recommend that caregivers talk with other caregivers or other adults whom they trust, because that's really important. These are normal feelings, but you should process them with another grown-up. And finally, if part of what's generating your anxiety is some unknown questions, well, look online, check out the camp's website, look at their frequently asked questions section, and if your answer isn't there, call the camp and get your question answered. Because after all, anxiety, a lot of it is sort of fear of the unknown. And if you can make your unknowns known, you're going to feel a lot better about your child separating from home, separating from you, and having a wonderful, wonderful experience at camp this summer.
Thanks, Chris. Fantastic advice. I do want to mention, after yesterday's live stream, we heard from some people that the video quality was just not up to par, let's say. And we did some investigating, and what we found out is that sometimes in your YouTube viewer, you just need to bump up the quality. So you can do that. If you look at the bottom of the viewer, there will be a small gear in the right-hand corner. Click on that gear, and then just be sure to adjust the quality up to 1080p, and that's going to give you the best viewing experience. So be sure to do that. If the video quality isn't there, odds are that's going to fix it for you. One other thing that I do want to mention is if you look over to the right of the live stream, you'll see that there's a chat window over there. All you have to do is enter a nickname, and then you're in the chat. You'll be able to see any questions or comments that other viewers are posting, and you can also chat with us. So if there's any questions that you want to ask Matt or I, or something that we can pass along to Dr. Thurber, be sure to hit that chat box and let us know.
Fire away.
Yeah, right. Do you want to ask the next question then?
Sure.
Okay.
I want to ask Dr. Thurber, what are some of his favorite packing tips?
Oh, this is one of my favorite questions. What are some great packing tips? Well, I've got hundreds, but let me narrow it down to 3. First and foremost would be label everything. One of the things that I hope you get from Everything Summer Camp is a whole set of waterproof labels, and stick them on water bottles, stick them on your tube of toothpaste, on your tennis racket. Pretty much anything that will take a label should have a label with your name on it. You know, every camp has a lost and found, and it's really easy to lose things, but if you want it returned, it's got to have your name on it. As you might have heard me say before, you should also pack a waterproof marker, like a laundry-proof Sharpie like this, or some other kind of permanent marker, because there'll probably be a couple things that you forget. Maybe you'll buy something at camp and you want it to have your name. So tip number 1 is label everything. Figure out a way to get it labeled. Label socks, label underwear, label shirts, label shorts, label sports equipment, label your swim goggles. Between a Sharpie, waterproof labels, and iron-on labels, you should be able to get your name on everything. Second, and we can go to the sky cam for this one, I want to make sure that you roll instead of stack. If you take a look here, it looks like I have a red towel, some gray underwear, and some black socks. Now the socks are easy to see, but notice that this is a pretty standard way of packing, and I don't know how many pairs of underwear I have because they're stacked one on top of the other. A really cool way to pack your trunk is to roll things. That way you can see everything at once. So what I mean is roll everything, roll towels, roll underwear, and stack everything like pencils in a can, and that way you know exactly what you have at first glance. There's not layers, everything is rolled, and you can see exactly what you have. Now, if we go back to the regular camera, you'll see tip 3, which is right here, and that is the packing list on the inside cover of the trunk. Now, if you have a duffel bag, put the packing list inside a zipped freezer bag and put the bag inside of your duffel bag. Whether you're packing in a Foot Locker like this, or you're packing a duffel bag, or you're packing maybe in a backpack or a suitcase, you want to have your packing list and handwrite any items that you add taped or with that piece of equipment. So when it comes to packing for the return home, you can go back through the list and make sure that you've got everything you came to camp with. All right, so label, roll, and make sure that that packing list goes with you to camp. Those are my 3 tips for today.
All right, thanks again, Chris. Appreciate all the advice that you're giving our viewers today. I want to mention, Chris said at the beginning of that segment how it's important to label everything, and he's absolutely correct. I know you visit camps, you've seen the lost and founds.
It's a mess.
Right. So if you want to get your stuff back, be sure to label it, and we're here to help with that. So if you check out the product carousel below, you'll see that we have all kinds of labeling options. We have the waterproof stick-on labels that Chris mentioned a couple of times. New for this year, we have our waterproof stick-on everything name labels. So I know a lot of people don't like to do the iron-on labels. It's extra time and frustration to put all those labels into the clothing with an iron. And so we do have our stick on everything name labels. Those stick on any hard surface. So Chris mentioned like labeling your toothbrush, you'll be able to do that, but you'll also be able to do your clothes with those stick on everything name labels. So be sure to check those out. If you do want to go old school, we do have the iron-on name labels in there yet. We've got the fabric pens or fabric markers in there. We also have a stamp. I don't think Chris mentions a stamp in there. A stamp is great. It's a really fast way to label your stuff. It doesn't necessarily work good on darker clothing. The ink just doesn't show up. But anything that's a lighter, a white or a gray or something like that, it's going to show up really easily there. So be sure to check out those items in the product carousel below. I think we have one last question for Chris, and that is, what should kids pack that wouldn't necessarily be found on the average camp packing list?
Oh, that's a great question. What are a couple of things that you should pack for camp that are not on the packing list? Well, can I just say, start with the packing list, because the camp has made a list based on years of experience knowing what kids need. So at least make sure you've got that. But then I do have 3 recommendations, and you won't even find these recommendations in the summer camp handbook. The first is a couple of extra pillowcases. All right, now you'd think, well, one pillow, one pillowcase, what's the big deal? You know, pillowcases get used for different things at camp. Sometimes they get used to carry things from one place to another. Sometimes you'll go on a camp out and there'll be pine sap all over your pillowcase. And, you know, you don't want to sleep on something that's got, you know, pine sap on it for the rest of the camp stay. So being able to put another pillowcase on or change pillowcases, that's really important. You're going to be glad that you had it. The next is a permanent marker of some type. Now, labeling things is really important and something John and I emphasize in the summer camp handbook. If you want something back, you've got to have your name on it. And you might buy some things at camp, or maybe trade something at camp, or maybe find something in your trunk that you forgot to label. So having a Sharpie or some other kind of laundry-proof marker is a real important thing to pack. And then swim goggles. Now, I'm an aquatics guy, so I love to be in the water, but I also wear contact lenses, and your child might also wear contact lenses or just be more comfortable with a pair of goggles. Probably the camp has some goggles, but this is an inexpensive item that's worth bringing and making sure that, it fits your face. And of course, put these together, make sure you label your swim goggles too. All right, those are 3 things that aren't on most camp packing lists that I think you should bring.
All right, thank you, Chris. I do want to mention once again the product carousel below. It has some of those items that Chris was talking about. We do offer a variety of swim goggles in youth sizes. These are going to have a nice tight fit. These come from Tier. We also have some Speedo ones, but these are the Tier. It's the Tier tie-dye swim goggles. Those are in the product carousel below. We also have lots of bedding, including those pillowcases that Dr. Thurber was talking about. I thought that was a fantastic tip to bring that extra pillowcase.
Yeah, it's very smart.
I know I can't stand sleeping in a dirty bed.
No way.
And at camp, it's sure to happen. So that extra pillowcase will come in pretty handy.
Man, you got all that color war hair dye and sand from the beach. You're gonna need it.
Right. So, Matt, do you have an item that you like that doesn't appear on a lot of camp packing lists?
You know what? I'm glad you asked, Mark. One of my favorite things is the autographed pillowcase. Ta-da! It's like a yearbook without the pictures. All your friends can write their names on there, and you have a memory to take home and have forever.
Right, and it comes with the pen, right?
It does come with the pen. Yep. But it is, you can see it's a nice, crisp, clear picture. You can put lots of different things on there. Comes with the pen. Don't leave home without it.
One thing I want to point out, if you hold that up, is that this print it's not a screen print that sits on top of the
Correct.
pillowcase, so it's not going to be something that bothers
You're
you
not
while
gonna
you're trying
feel
to
it.
sleep. Yeah, it's dyed right into the fabric.
Right.
Yeah. So my favorite item that does not appear on most camp packing lists is a like a floor mat for the bunk. I brought a couple of those on the set with me today. This is our gummy bear, and then this one is our Be Adventurous floor mat. But what I really like about these is, once again, kind of like in the name of a clean bed. These are great. You put these at the foot of the bed, and before you crawl in, it gives you a spot to wipe off your dirty feet, so you don't drag that dirt and grit into the bed with you. When you wake up in the morning, it's a nice soft surface to put your feet onto. And there's a non-skid rubber backing to it. It's a nice soft plush polyester. There's a memory foam inside, so it's real soft. And yeah, very reasonably priced. Great way to keep your bed clean and to have that extra little bit of comfort in the bunk.
Yeah, and they look great too. We have tons of options. There's nothing worse than waking up and slamming your feet on the cold tile floor at a cabin.
Right.
6 o'clock in the morning to go raise the flag. So these are great. Check them out and let us know what you think.
Yeah. All right, so we will be going live again tomorrow. We haven't really settled into an exact time yet. We're trying to go at a few different times and just gauge the reaction that we're getting from viewers. This was only our second live stream. Hopefully we did a great job for you today. We'll keep going here, and I'm sure we're going to get better and more entertaining as we go along. But I do want to thank Dr. Chris Thurber for joining us today. And Matt, I'd like to thank you for joining me.
I appreciate you having me on.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Until next time.
Let's do it.